people of YouTube, it's once again the Great James, and welcome back to a long since thought dead series, Yu-Gi-Oh! Fantasy Archetype Reviews, where those of you who are new to the audience, this is basically a little sequence I do where someone leaves a comment in one of my videos, and leaves me a card that adds to their own fantasy archetype. And when this series is done, I can make the cards on Card Maker and give them an idea. So in other words, these are cards that people personally made that don't exist in the actual game, and I give a little review to see if this could actually exist in the game as a whole. So, yeah. What would a good example would be if anyone's ever seen X Underground members X's like the 5 fantasy support cards thing. I don't remember the name of the segment because I haven't seen Underground in a long time. But you know, release those kinds of videos. But the basic thing is, if you ever seen one of those videos, think of this, but making an entire deck around instead of just adding to an old archetype that already exists, you know? So, yeah. Also, pre-warning. Okay, well, first, this archetype is made by Sean Largest, and it is based off the TV series, well, not TV series, what was it? The freaking internet series, I want to say? Sorry, I'm bad with names this morning. My God, I'm bad. The basic premise is, this is based off the hit series, how would I just say that? Rwby, R-W-B-Y. So, and this is the entire archetype focused around it. But here's the thing, I never watched, well, okay, that's a bit of a lie. I was about to say I've never watched a single episode of Rwby, but that's wrong. I saw episode 1. 1 wasn't my cup of tea. If you like it, that's perfectly fine. You know, I understand the love for it. I've seen, like, the memes on the cup for it, but... And to be fair, it is humorous. It's just not my personal cup of tea, if you know what I mean. But, you know. But that, as a consequence of that, I'm going to be butchering a lot of names and probably not understand a lot of the historical accuracy of this, considering the cards are also based off of their... Well, the cards' effects are based off their lore effect, if you know what I mean. Think Flamvell Magician, but for an entire archetype. So, yeah. Just a little pre-warning of that. And, well, I can still remember, too. There are a lot of cards that are supported by other cards, like this first card here that I'm going to go into soon. I'm going to have, like, a fucking timestamp just be like, get to the stops in the description. And every card is kind of connected in its own way to, like, help others, so it's kind of... It's tough to explain. My best way I can explain it is just like think of Phenomenon into Phenomenaga without needing the trap card off the top of my head, you know? Or maybe like Yubel into its other incarnate forms, but that's the only way I can think of it. But I think I've stalled for a long enough time, so let's just get into it, okay? Fantasy Archetype Reviews, Huntress/Huntsman, or as I call it, the Rwby archetype. Let's start with Huntress Rwby Rose, a warrior effect 4-star light attribute monster with 1600 attack and 1200 defense. Her effect reads, when this card is summoned, add one Huntsman or Huntress card from your deck to your hand. This card can attack all your opponent's dark monsters. So it's a pretty good damn start for the series, considering the fact that, it's a pretty basic Stratos for the deck. Considering the fact that, well, it searches any card. I don't need to really, and now I think about it, I don't need to explain, considering it's just that dang good. Plus, in addition, you could say that the whole attacking dark attribute monsters isn't that much, considering we're not until that format. But let's face it, you're not playing it for the second effect, you're playing it for the first effect, and the second effect is just an added bonus. So don't need to explain why you play Rwby Rose, you just play Rwby Rose. Even though she doesn't exist in real life, and I'll be saying that a lot. Now here's the first example of me not knowing how to pronounce things with Huntress Yang Xiaolong. I know I'm butchering that in some way and form. So I'm just going to be calling her Huntress Yang when I refer to her, and you guys can pick up the rest from there. She is a fire attribute, level 5 warrior effect monster with 2000 attack and 1600 defense. And her effect reads, if you control Huntress Rwby Rose, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card attacks or is attacked, it gains 300 attack. It's probably not for me personally. Like, I get how it works considering Yang and Rwby in the show are apparently besties, but I just like... It feels like she doesn't get enough, because, okay, let's pretend Rwby isn't on the field, and, I don't know, she's the only card in your hand. She's a brick, because she needs a tribute, considering you don't have Rwby on the field. And if you do have a monster on the field to tribute her, she's she's a tribute because she's a 5-star monster. Normal summon it, well, normally. Plus, she only gains 300 attack. If it was 500 attack, I guess it could be okay considering it only because at least it can get over Dark Magician. Because this card doesn't really reach my threshold. Just like, are you at least the standards of Curse of Dragon? Yes, I guess you can. I guess you're fine as a level 5 monster. Like that's my bare bones basic. How it works. But it just feels like she doesn't get enough. But you know, if you want to run her because you like the entire thing, you could run one. I guess that would be fine. But we're going to get into her support card in a minute, but I want to finish off Rwby support, which makes me think I should have done this in a different order. Oops. But for our next card, we have... Gotta go down. Where is he? There you are. Very organized I am. Huntsman Crow. Yes, you pronounce a Q with a C. Bite me. Dark Attribute level 5 Warrior Effect Monster with 2100 attack and 1900 defense. And its effect reads, if you control Huntress Rwby Rose, you can special summon this card from your hand. Monsters that battle this card lose 500 attack and defense. Automatically, this makes me want to run him over bloody Yang. Because, yeah, Yang has a support card that we'll get into in a minute. But Crow here is still a 5-star monster, but he has more attack and defense than Yang. In addition, he lowers the opponent's better. Well, he lowers the opponent's more. I mean, I know he's not boosting himself, but he's reducing the opponents, and that's basically the same thing. I know it's a pretty mediocre effect to just be like, Regeki, Shrink, any of that crap. But just because, like, I don't know. Not to mention, it's monsters that battle this card lose 500 attack and defense. It doesn't stay until the end of the turn, so really, that attack deficit is permanent, considering, I don't know. If your opponent beats over this, like, with, say, to give it a generic example, Blue Eyes White Dragon with 3000 attack. It attacks Crow. Of course, it kills it because it's got more attack. But Crow's effect will still reduce that Blue Eyes down to 2500 attack points. So at least he's... Because that Blue Eyes is still a threat, but it's less of a threat. So, yeah, I run Crow over Yang personally, but we gotta get into Yang's support card next. And she is a bitch. Huntress Raven, a 5-star Dark Attribute Warrior Effect Monster with 2200 attack and 1600 defense. Her effect reads, if Huntress Yang, you know the rest, is destroyed, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is summoned, you can add a Huntress Yang, you know the rest, from your graveyard to your hand. You can only activate this effect once per duel. Neither players can put counters on this card. I'm going to explain this real quick. According to what I was told by Sean about how this works, Raven, apparently all the upgrade cards are related to the character in some way, whether they be besties or family, because apparently Raven is Yang's mother, I think it was. But it's... Really, bitch? Okay, if your daughter dies, you have to be special summoned from the hand, not even from the deck, because you can't save her from anywhere. Two. When in this card, the fact that you add your daughter from the graveyard to your hand once per duel is annoying. I know it's a reference of the show, considering she can only save her daughter once, which proves to me that she's a bad mother, because I don't care what she's doing it for. If you can only save your only family, as far as I know, once, you're not very good at it as a parent. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel on the matter. Not to mention, just in terms of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Standard, you are being out by a Warrior Returning Alive, a card that came out in like 2005. Congratulations, Raven. You, a brand new card, that doesn't exist yet, are being up by a card that's 10 plus years old. The Warrior Returning Alive is not only not once per duel, it isn't even once per turn. So, you can activate 3 of the Warrior Returning Lives in the same turn. I don't know why you would do that, considering that's kind of a waste of resources, but you could do it. Meanwhile, you're just like, no, I'm summoned once, I'm done. Really, why couldn't you get summoned from the deck? At least then I could be like, well, at least you get a high attack point monster immediately, and she does kind of do at least a warrior once, or at least warrior can't be activated from the deck, but it's just like, Raven, even if I was running Yang, I don't think I would run you. Maybe I'd run you at 1, but I feel like you'd be the brick of the deck, or so maybe you'd be side decked. I don't know what I would do with you, honestly. But yeah, that's the end of Yang's arc and Rwby's. Well, we're going to get into the spells and attractions and rolling in monster form so far, but that's what you feel about that. Next we have Huntress Whiskney. water level 4 warrior effect with 1500 attack and 1500 defense. And her long, massive line of text reads, opponent's flip effects cannot be activated. How is Akira Zaizan going to get over this? None of his Tindango monsters can activate their effects now! Ugh. This is gotta be the most generic out of all the cards. Like, I probably references the show. I can get behind that. Just like, it does so little, and her stats are just so basic, you know? I mean, yeah, you can beat over the Celtic Guardian, but who cares? Anything can nowadays. We have level 4 vanilla monsters that with 2,000 attack points. This is not special nowadays. Oy. Whiskey, you're a basic card, but I will give her credit on one thing. Her upgrade form, however, or rather, a support card, I don't know how you would put it, is Huntress Winter, and she makes you kind of want to run Whiskey, considering Winter is a 5-star water attribute warrior effect monster with 1900 attack and defense. Her effect reads, if you control Huntress Whiskey, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card attacks a defense position monsters, destroy it, then add a Huntress or Huntsman spell or trap card, and it stops there. It doesn't say from your graveyard to your hand. It doesn't say from the deck to the hand. It just stops at it, and that's it. I'm assuming, I don't know what Sean meant by it. I would assume he meant deck to hand, considering that's kind of something you need in this. But just like, I don't know how many times you're going to be attacking defense position monsters, but the fact that you can at least search off of it and you immediately destroy the monster does kind of make me want to run you a bit more than, and you give me a reason to want to run Whiskey. I think I'd run both at 1 maybe. I don't know, maybe I'd run Whiskey at 2 just in case this card bricks, but excuse me. I don't know. Either way, Winter, you're a big upgrade over your daughter. That's my main point there. Next we have Huntress Blake Belladonna, a dark attribute level 4 beast warrior effect monster with 1700 attack and 1400 defense. And her effect reads, once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle and you take no damage. And that's it. Now granted, this is a very basic effect, but it's an effect I personally adore. I know I just got on Whiskey's case for just having such a basic effect, but I love a card effect that can protect itself and protect you at the same time. Because she protects herself by not being destroyed and protects you by not taking any damage, plus you still get to keep a monster in the field. So Blake Belladonna, this is me personally speaking, but I run this card at 3 just because I love these sorts of effects. But that's me personally. If you don't want to run her, you don't have to run her. Because, actually, when you get right down to it, none of us can run her, considering she doesn't exist. Next we have her support card, which is Huntsman Adam Tauros, a level 5 dark attribute warrior effect monster with 2300 attack and 1500 defense. If a Huntress Blake Belladonna is destroyed, or it's on your opponent's side of the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card battles an opponent's monster and it is not destroyed, banish it. Pretty basic effect. It's got some decent stats for level 5, you know. Its requirement is suspicious. I know it's probably, again, to reference the show, but just like, if Blake Belladonna is destroyed, okay, it becomes a better, or, well, debatably better, becomes a better Raven. But the fact that it's also when your opponent controls, just like, why would your opponent take control of her? I guess it was to activate Monster Reborn, but considering that's legal now, but just one of those things just like, eh? But hey, the fact that if it doesn't destroy an opponent's monster, like Blake, considering the fact that she can't be destroyed once per turn, he banishes it. So, yeah. I think if you're running, I guess if I was running 3 of Blake, I guess I would run maybe 1 of him, just because you don't know. Just to be safe, you know? But now, we're going to move on to the next card once I can find it. There it is. Huntsman Jean Arc, a level 4 Earth Warrior effect monster with 1400 attack and 1800 defense. The effect reads, this card gains 500 attack if you control another Huntsman or Huntress monster with a different name. Huntress and Huntsman monsters cannot be destroyed by battle except this card. So yeah, it's a pretty basic Amazon's Queen sort of kind of effect, plus it gives itself a nice little power boost if you control a friend, so to speak. But it's just like, me personally, I would add they also just like gains 500 attack per Huntress slash Huntsman slash Huntress monster with different names. Considering now you got an almighty beat sick and you can't get over any of them. I know that'd be broken as fuck, but I just feel like we should do better than 1900 tech points. We can do better than Luster Dragon here, folks, or Alien Shock Trooper. But I guess on its own, it's a pretty good card. I'd run it at 3 just because it's a pretty good protection. So yeah, I'll give you credit on that one. Oops, wrong one. I hate when that happens. Next we have Huntress Pyranikos, a support card for Jean, 5 stars, Earth attribute, warrior effect, 1900 attack and defense. If you control Huntress, if you control Huntsman, Jean Arc, you can special summon this card from your hand, then add a Huntsman or Huntress spell card, and it stops there. If this card is destroyed, add 1 Huntsman and Jean Arc from your graveyard or deck to your hand. Now granted, again, I don't know where you're switching from for the first effect, so that's kind of means you can special summon it for search it from anywhere, but I feel like you should also add the add it from anywhere sort of clause, just that important part of the rule game, considering otherwise people are confused. Not to mention, even when she dies, she does do something for you, which kind of makes her an upgrade winter, so to speak, considering they have the same stats sort of thing. So yeah, again, since I'm running, I guess, 3 of Jean, I would run at least 1 of her, considering she is pretty damn useful, even though, again, they're limited to hand. I don't know why they're limited to hand. Why couldn't they be from deck? Some of these cards, I'm just looking at just like, you would be that broken. Like, Winter would not be broken with special from deck. And, to be honest, Raven needs all the help she can get, so if she was the only one that could be special from the deck, would be like, well, at least you do one thing right, and only one thing, but that's still one thing. So, yeah. But for our next card, we have Huntsman Lai Ren. It's a 4-star Wind Warrior effect monster with 1500 attack and 1300 defense. Its effect reads once per turn during another player's turn, you return 1 spell or trap card on another player's side of the field to the deck, and your opponent cannot activate cards in response to this effect. This thing is pretty damn busted, all things considered, considering it's giant Trunade to the deck, and it can be used during either player's turn. I don't even need to explain why you're running 3 of these things. It's just that damn good. Granted, your opponent may not set a lot of background that out there, but just like, oh, I see you have a solemn. I expect you to have a solemn judgment base down. Back to the deck with you. It's just ridiculous. You don't even need to play Huntsman or Huntress to activate. You just need to run this card in general. You know, it's pretty damn good. So yeah, I don't need to explain any further. But next we have Huntress Nora Valkyrie. I wish I could pick a less specific artwork to go with, but I didn't have a choice. A 4-star light attribute warrior effect monster with 1800 attack and 1700 defense. If you control Huntsman Lai 10, or rather Lai Ren, considering it was sent to me as Lai 10, oops, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can destroy 1 card on the field. If this card battles a Thunder-type monster, this card gains 1200 attack. Oddly specific for the Thunder-type, but I guess we gotta really get over that Thunder King Ryo. So, yeah. Now, other than that, it's just the fact that it can destroy a 1 monster on the field, and that seems to be non-targeting, so, yeah, I can gotta give it credit on that one, considering nowadays everything can't be targeted, so she's pretty good. I don't know how else to put it. Plus, it does help the fact that she's a 4-star monster. So you don't even gotta worry about the fact that she's a level 5 and you have to tribute summon her. She's just a 4-star monster. Just like, you could even go into the make an Xyz monster with her and go into, I don't know, number 39 Utopia to go into S39 Utopia the Lightning. Otherwise, Nora Valkyrie is a really good card. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say after that one. But next we have Huntress Coco. She looks like Bloody Rwby in a mask. 4 stars, Earth attribute warrior effect monster with 1750 attack, all light specific, and 1600 defense. Her effect reads, if this card destroys a monster by battle, inflict 200 damage times the level of the opponent's monster to your opponent. This thing is pretty damn powerful, considering the fact of the Gatling gun, considering the fact that you can just give this thing a bunch of power boosts, and it's like, oh, what do you know? You have, I don't know, just to give it off the top of the head, Obelisk the Tormentor on the side of your field. A level 10 monster. I'm going to power this thing up with Mage Power, set more back row, blow it up, and then here's 2,000 damage. I kind of like cards that do that. It's like sort of like a Flamvell Grenica sort of thing, but that's just me personally. So it's just like, I would run one of Coco just because I like those sorts of effects. But that's me personally, again. I say that a lot. But now she has a support card in the form of Huntress Velvet, a Beast Warrior effect monster with Earth attribute with 4 stars, 1600 attack, and 1100 defense. If you control Huntress Coco, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can change this card's name to any Huntress or Huntsman monster's name. This card becomes immediately broken once you realize the fact that it's a 4-star monster. It doesn't need a tribute. You don't even need to control Coco because, again, it's a 4-star monster. And this thing can become anything in its own archetype. So just like, I don't even need to explain why you run her. It's just that damn good. I rest my case. But let's move on to the next card, which is... Do I go with her yet? Yeah, might as well just keep in order. Wait, am I doing this? Okay, yeah, I am. Next we have Huntress Cinderfall. And it is a ultimate rare. It is a 6-star dark attribute spellcaster effect monster with 2,000 attack and 2,000 defense. Once per turn, you can take control of one monster your opponent controls until the end phase. Then inflict damage your opponent equal to half of its monster's attack points. Do you guys remember freaking the Fortune Cup with the keys of fighting that night guy that used Master Levels? I'm reminded of freaking Mark of the Rose with Vengeful Servant. This sort of thing is just like she took control of the opponent's monster and then equipped it with this and then gave him burn for half the monster's attack points. Just like think of all that roll into one. Just it's a non-targeting brain control that also burns. And all that's going to return is a tribute, and it's got pretty low stats. But just one of those things where just looking at it, just like, yeah, I'd run you. I don't even need to explain why. I'd probably run at least one of you. So, yeah. But she has a support card. Because don't they all? And that's Huntsman Tyrain. It is a 6-star Earth attribute warrior effect monster with 2,000 attack and 1900 defense. This motherfucker's a crazy motherfucker. Mainly because I can't tell what gender he is. I'm convinced that Huntsman is a question, not a statement of fact. No, I'm kidding. If Huntress Cinderfall was destroyed, you'd special summon this card from your hand. During each player's end phase, inflict 300 damage to your opponents. It's an okay card, considering the fact that it's kind of mediocre, considering that Cinderfall goes down. This thing gets brought out, and during each player's end phase, you deal 300 burn. But it feels like that's kind of low, you know? I don't know. I guess if I was running the Cinderfall, he could come along too for the ride. It just feels like, At least it only burns your opponent, so just like, you're not gonna lose. I don't know. It feels like I'm reaching the bottom of the barrel. That's because I am. So yeah. I guess if you're gonna run him, you might want to run one at the very least. Or rather, most. I don't know. But next card. Huntress Emerald Sustri. Wind 4 stars, warrior effect with 1600 attack and 1400 defense. When this card is summoned, send one Huntress or Huntsman's card from your deck to the graveyard. Once per turn, you can special summon Huntress Cinderfall from your hand or graveyard. Okay, that's pretty damn good. Let me put it this way: it's a foolish burial effect on summon, so you can send fucking Cinderfall to the graveyard, and then you can immediately bring it back with this thing. Now, grant and that. I'm assuming they're both are meant to be once per turn, but it never says that anywhere in the card. So really, you can just keep pitching and keep reviving. So yeah, I don't even need to explain it. You're gonna run at least one of Cinderfall. You run at least one of this thing too, because it's just a good support card. Ugh. But now we have her support card because everyone needs a support card. Oh my god, Huntsman, man. Yeah, there it is. Huntsman, Mercury Black, Earth 4 stars, warrior effect, 1800 attack, 1600 defense. This card can do piercing damage. Good for you. Once per turn, you can special summon one Huntress Emerald Sustri from your hand. Huh, that's a little different. I mean, it's a 4-star upgrade form that can also do piercing damage, but I like the fact that it's just like, usually it's whenever you control the original form, you special summon their helper card, but this case it's the helper card that special summons their other form, you know? It's an interesting little twist on it for something that's been stable for so long. So they're just like, yeah, I kind of like that. I guess since I'm running, maybe 3 of her, or at least 2 of her, maybe. I might bring along 1 of him. It's kind of hard to say. I'm going to get over a 40-card deck at this rate. But still, it's like, it's a good card. I don't really know how to explain it. But now we have our last main deck monster after that. And that is Huntress Penny. She is a 5-star light attribute machine effect monster with 1800 attack and 1800 defense. And her effect reads, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card and special summon Huntress Penny from your deck. If you do, you gain 500 life points. This thing's a mixed bag considering, well, let me put it this way. Emerald could potentially set this card to the graveyard, and then it's a Destiny Hero Malicious sort of thing that also heals you, but it just feels like it's a random healer out of nowhere, so just feel like if it's going to heal, it should heal a bit more, like maybe 1,000, I don't know. Maybe that's me personally. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that thing. It's just a good card, really. I mean, yeah, it's a tribute monster, but again, so is Malicious, and people don't mind running Malicious. So, take your pick, you know? Play it your way. Okay, but that's the end of the monster lamp, and we only have to go from here. Rwby the spells, and then the extra deck monster, because there are no trap cards. Unless you really, and I mean really, want to count Huntsman Tyran. And yes, I did have to look his name up, because I completely forgot it. Oops. But now the support cards, and most of them are equips. First for Rwby, Croissant Rose. This card is always treated as a Huntress card. This card can only be equipped to Huntress Rwby Rose, Huntsman Crow, or Team Rwby. We're going to get into those cards later. It gains power to attack, and if it destroys a monster by battle, you can draw one card. It's a pretty decent card off the top of the bat, considering it just gives a basic power boost to whoever's holding it. Plus, if you destroy a monster by battle, draw a card. It's the Horn of the Phantom Beast, but an equipped spell that has less attack, but it's basically the same thing. But, yeah, it's a pretty basic card, so just like, you know, you're probably running 3 of Rwby, you might be running 1 Crow, so, and we're going to get into Rwby soon, so, yeah, it's a pretty decent one. Next! I'm definitely going to butcher this one, and butcher it to hell and back again. Myr Tinaster, we're going to call it Bob. This card is always treated as a Huntress card. Can only be equipped to Huntress Whiskey or Huntress Winter or Team Rwby. It gains force attack. If it attacks a defense position monster, it make its defense 0 and inflict piercing damage to your opponent. This thing is pretty damn good for everything, considering if you're running at least 1 Whiskey, 1 Winter. The thing can also down to piercing damage and make the damage, or rather, I don't think it would for Winter, considering the fact that she immediately destroys the card, or maybe it's opposite. I don't know. So, but yeah, I think if you're running one of those cards, you could go with worse than this. So, the attack point boost is kind of mediocre, but you know, I think that the effect itself is pretty damn good. But next card. Gamble Shroud. It is again, equipped spell card, and it says, this card is always treated as a Huntress card. Can only be equipped to Huntress Blake, Belladonna, or Team Rwby. Gains 300 attack. If it can attack 2 times, and when it attacks, you can destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls. Sorry if I'm stuttering, I'm having a bit of a brain fart as I read this thing. It's like, how do I read this? How do I read this? I don't know. Now, Gamble Shrouds are pretty decent thing, considering the fact that it gives your monster a double attack. Plus, you can also pop cards. So, not much to say about it. It's just a pretty decent thing. You know, things considered. Gamble Shroud, good. Next, Empress Cecilia. I've seen these fucking things. If you see those little white things at the bottom, which you probably can't consider them like a 240p, those things also have guns in them. And I think every fucking weapon in this series is part gun, which is ridiculous. This card can only be equipped to Huntress Yang Xiaolong or Team Rwby. When it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, special summon Huntress Rwby Rose from the deck, and it gains 200 attack until the end phase. Okay, that second part is a little mediocre, considering it's just like only 200 attack point gain, and it's only until the end phase. The fact that they're special summoning Rwby for the deck, and then she immediately gets to activate her effect, is pretty damn good. It makes you want to run, I don't know, Jar of Avarice to get her back in the deck constantly. So, yeah, even though it's specific to 2 people, it's still pretty damn good. I don't have anything more to say about that. Next we have, where is it? I love this name. Forces More. An equipped spell card. Can only be equipped to a Huntsman in Jean Arc or Team Juniper. Gains 1,000 attack and defense. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. I'm assuming it means the monster equipped. So, this thing's pretty basic. It's just a basic action despair that also gives you a bit of protection. But, it's a pretty decent card, all things considered. You know, if you're running Jean, you're running one of these. It just makes sense. I don't really need to explain. Next card, we have, where is it? Magnahild. Equipped spell card. Can only be equipped to Huntress Nora Valkyrie or Team Juniper. Gains 400 attack and cannot be destroyed by monsters with higher levels. It's a pretty basic card, all things considered, but it's pretty damn good considering the fact that, well, Nora's pretty decent on her own, so considering the fact that she's also not able to be destroyed by other monsters, this makes it better. I don't know how to really go... I can't really go into detail about it, just really good for it, so... Yeah, again, if you're running one of Nora, you're running one of her. Next one, another one I'm going to butcher. Milo and Akona. Can only be equipped to Huntress, Nikos, or Team Juniper. Gain 700 attack and 600 defense. Oddly specific, reminds me of sort of like a Burning Spear kind of card. Cannot be targeted by card effects. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a basic power booster, and makes your monster, I guess, immune to be destruction via card effects, so, I guess it's okay, you know. If you're running, I guess you could say it for all the cards, but just like, if you're running one of her, you're running one of it. Just for basic protection, I guess. Next card, we have one for the broken guy. We have Stormflower. No, I did not put the same image up twice. It is dual wielding. Equipped spell can only be equipped to Huntsman, Lyten, or Team Juniper. Gains 300 attack if it attacks, destroy up to 2 spell or trap cards on the field. Not bad, eh? Maybe it's right 10. I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, I just tried to. Never mind. Look, it's pretty basic. It's just like, look, if you're equipped. You know, Lyten can already send cards back to the deck, but now the fact that he can also pop 2 more, it's just like. It's pretty damn good. I don't need to go into detail for it. So, yeah, it's pretty damn good. But next we have Fall Maiden Powers. Can only be equipped to Huntress Cinderfall or Chaos Syndicate. Gains attack equal to the number of cards in the graveyard times 100. Once per turn, you can send a card from your deck to the graveyard. Pretty damn good for Cinderfall, if I do say so myself, considering the fact that, well, what can I say, really? It's getting 100 deck for every card in the graveyard, in general. Just every card. Plus, it's also sending cards to the graveyard to give itself more power. So, not much to say about Fall Maiden's power. It's just, well, powerful. I do say so myself. But finally, we have, out of all of them, out of the spell cards, the field spell, Beacon, like the Beacon Academy they go to, apparently. Huntress and Huntsman monsters gain 400 attack and defense. When a Huntress or Huntsman monster is summoned, you can equip an appropriate equipped spell card to it from your deck. When this card leaves the field, send a Huntress or Huntsman card from your card to the graveyard. Doesn't say from where. But really, I don't even need to explain why you have this card at 3, considering it immediately takes the monster that's summoned and equips it with their appropriate card. I don't need to explain why you run this at 3. You just do. Run 3 of this, 3 Terraforming, 3 Metaverse, all that jazz. Yeah, I don't need to go into further detail. But finally, we can end it with the extra deck monsters, everyone. Because that was the end of this spell. There's none of that. No, wait, wrong one to start with. First, main character time, Team Rwby, W-R-B-Y. Let me open it again, considering this is something bad about Card Maker. It is a fusion effect light attribute 10 stars monster, and it's a warrior fusion effect monster. And its fusion requirements are Huntress Ruby Rose, Huntress Whiskey, Blake Belladonna, and Yang. Spec Breeds always treated as a Huntress card. Can only be fusion summoned by returning fusion materials on the field to the deck. It's a contact fusion. It can be attacked. Oh, fuck. It can attack 4 times, because, you know, warp fusion materials. But it's got 25% attack and defense. Cannot be destroyed by battle. All effects are negated. That's 2 in 1. This card battles as it gains 500 attack and defense. If this card leaves the field, special summon the fusion materials from the deck. If this card battles a dark monster, double this card's attack during the damage step only. That has a lot of effects, but goddamn are they all goddamn good. Just, I don't even need to explain why I run 3 of these. It's just like, I mean, I know it's a contact fusion because that kind of weakens it by default, but just like, if you can get up, it's pretty damn powerful. So, yeah. Don't even need to go into it. I guess if you want to run it easier, I guess you could use, I don't know, fusion tag. Try to make it easier for you. Next, Team Juniper. A warrior effect fusion monster with 9 stars, earth attribute, 2400 attack, and 2400 defense. Its fusion requirements are Huntsman Jean Arc, Nora Valkyrie, Nikos, and Lyten. Lyten can. I mean, it was a Ryten can. I don't know. It's confusing. Is it one of those Chinese things, or Japanese things, where L is also R? I don't know. Or maybe it's just fucking up, you know. Always treated as a Huntsman card, despite the fact that there's 2 girls. Oops. Can only be fused with someone by returning the fusion materials from the field to the deck. Can attack 4 times. When this card attacks, destroy all your opponent's spell and trap cards. If you do, add an equipped spell card to your hand. Add 1. Once per turn, if you can send 1 monster from your opponent controls to the graveyard. Non-targeting. If this card leaves the field, special summon fusion materials from the deck. Now, granted, this is fewer attack and defense than the original form, but god damn it, that's pretty damn powerful, all things considering all the shit that's doing. It's Heavy Storm / Harpy's Feather Duster, rather. It also searches and bloody Foolish Burials. I don't need to explain why you run 3 of these, just because, well, you run 3 of these. But now we have the final card in the deck. I want to find out at the end of this all this. I forgot to hit record, aren't I? Chaos Syndicates. Fusion effect, Dark Attribute, level 10 monster. It's also a spellcaster effect. Oops. 3,000 attack, 2,600 defense. Its fusion requirements are, let me go to the top of this thing. Cinderfall, Emerald, Sustri, and Mercury Black. Always treated as a Huntress card. Can only be fusion summoned by returning fusion materials to the deck from the field. Can attack 3 times, because it takes the least amount of requirements. If this card leaves the field, special summon fusion materials from the deck. When this card destroys the opponent's monster by battle, banish cards face down from the top of the opponent's deck equal to the level of the destroyed monster. I don't even need to explain how this is a good card. Look, it's got the most amount of attack points despite needing the least amount of requirements. So it's probably going to be the one that's going to be brought out the most. It can attack the least amount of times, but that's because, again, least amount of requirements. Plus, so the fact that if you destroy, like, again, just to go back to harp on Obelisk. Oh, it's in the top 10 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and you don't even get to draw 2 like Power of Desires. So yeah, you run 3 of Chaos Syndicate, and we are ending this with a bang. So again, I hope you enjoyed this sort of thing. We're going to be doing more of this in the future. And if you have any more suggestions on your own fantasy archetype, you know, let me know in the comments below. All these are the Huntress / Huntsman archetype. It's a pretty damn good archetype, and I'm glad I got the chance to review it. So, with all that said, this is a Great James signing off. Bye.